is Srila Prabhupada, people often ask. At various times, he was known as a scholar, a philosopher, a cultural ambassador, a prolific author, a religious leader, a spiritual teacher, a social critic, and a holy man. He was not one of those modern entrepreneurial gurus who come to the West with slickly packaged, watered-down versions of Eastern spirituality, promising instant well-being to anyone who could spare $50. Srila Prabhupada was rather a true holy man, one who could be called an Acharya, which means a spiritual master who teaches by example. After arriving in the United States in 1965 at the age of 69, Srila Prabhupada formed the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, which developed into a worldwide spiritual community with hundreds of ashrams, schools, temples, and farms, and with thousands of dedicated disciples who made Hare Krishna a household word. To have achieved all this in only 12 years was remarkable. But before he passed away from this world in 1977, Srila Prabhupada had also written and published over 80 volumes of translation and commentary on the great spiritual classics of ancient India. His books were welcomed with great critical acclaim by the Western academic community and by scholars from India as well, and they became standard texts in almost every university and library around the world. Srila Prabhupada had also succeeded in transmitting the profound wisdom of the ancient Vedic culture in a form and style that was clearly understandable to the average modern man. He could somehow explain even the most difficult philosophical concepts to people who were totally unfamiliar with the complex Indian religious tradition. Srila Prabhupada circled the globe 11 times between 1966 and 1977, and everywhere he went, he taught the same basic truths, the fundamental principles of religion that constitute the cornerstone of spiritual understanding for everyone, no matter what their nationality or religion. Srila Prabhupada was, more than anything, a teacher, a professor emeritus of the science of self-realization. And he was the best kind of teacher because he always lived up to what he taught.
They also say that no one can ever be pure, that everyone is doomed to be a sinner.
That is Atmavat Mannate Jagat. That is the conditioned soul's qualification, that he is a fool, he thinks other fools. Everyone, he thinks he is like me. So that is nature. Atmavat Mannate Jagat. Everyone thinks others like himself. If he's a fool, he thinks all are. So these things are no argument. Nobody has seen God. How do you take the statistics? Can you say like that, any statistics that nobody has? Maybe you have not seen him or has seen God. That is quite possible because you have not scrutinizingly studied all the men of the world.
Yes.
Then how you can say nobody has seen? You have not seen the man who has seen him.
So the man
He will not admit his fault. He will accuse others. Nobody has seen that. Why? You may not have seen, but why you say nobody has seen? You have not seen that person who has seen God. Therefore you say like that.
Hari Purusham
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Muspat Paramangsa Paribrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Samadha Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Kodi Vaishnavindra ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Girivardhan ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai Jamuna Mai ki Jai Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai Swami Bhaktivedanta ki Jai. All glories to the Assembly. All glories to the Assembly. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Srila Prabhupada. Glories to you, Prabhupada.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
The child is changing his body to baby, the baby is changing his body to boy, and the boy is changing his body to youthhood, then in this way you are changing body. That you have got experience. You had a child's body, you remember. Or you had a boy's body, you remember. But the body is no longer existing. But you are existing. Therefore, the conclusion is that when this body will be no more fit for existing, we shall have to accept another body. This is called tatha dehantara prapti. So we have to change. That is nature's law. The soul is immortal. Na jayate na amriyate va kadachit, na hannate hannamane sarire. The soul is not finished, simply a particular type of body being finished. No. The people do not know it. And because they are simply engaged in sinful activities, their brain has become so dull that they cannot understand this simple truth, that as you are changing body in this life, therefore you will change this body to another life. This is very simple truth. But at the advancement of material civilization, we have become so dull and rascal that we cannot understand. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tat parattena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti ruchyate. This bhakti means that we have to clear ourselves from the designation. What is that designation? Everyone is thinking, I am American, I am Indian, I am European, I am Australian, I am cat, I am dog, I am this, I am that. Body. We have to cleanse this bodily conception of life, that I am not this body. Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit soul. This you have to realize. Then there will be no distinction that here is an American, here is an Australian, here is a Hindu, here is a Muslim, here is a tree, here. No. Pandita samadarshina. Pandita means learned, one who knows things as they are. For them, vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavi hastini suniche cha sapake cha pandita samadarshina. A person very learned, vidya, and very gentle. Vidya means, educated means he is gentle, sober. He is not rogues and ruffian. That is vidya. That is the taste of education. He must be very educated, sober and silent. That is called gentleman. Therefore, this human form of life should be properly utilized. Not simply engaged in sense gratification like cats and dogs. That is not very responsible life. Responsible life is that I have got this improved form of life than the cats and dogs, and I have got more intelligence than the cats and dogs. If I simply utilize it for 4 bodily necessities of life. 4 bodily necessities of life means we require some eating. The cats, dogs, human beings, or High Court judge or anyone, they require some eating. They require sleeping, apartment. So that is, cats and dogs can sleep without apartment. But the sleeping required, that is fact. Eating required, that is fact. And sex life, that is also fact. And defense, that is also fact. But these things are common to the cats and dogs and man, human being. So what is the special feature of the human being? The special feature of the human being is that a human being can consider that I have got this nice American or Australian or Indian body, then what I am going to get next? What kind of body? That is utilized for human intelligence. A cat and dog cannot think like that. Therefore our business should be, now by the nature's way, I have come to this form of life, by evolutionary process. Now I have got good intelligence, how I shall utilize it? Vedaishta sadvai ahameva vedam. The whole knowledge is meant for understanding God. That is the end of knowledge. By progressive knowledge, you can make progress, but unless you do not come to the point to understand what is God, then your knowledge is imperfect. That is called Vedanta. Athata Brahma Jigyasa. Actually, designation has no value. The person is important, not the designation. Nature is a machine. To do thing, a machine works without an operator. Do you think? Is there any evidence? Now this is a machine, photography. It's a wonderful machine. It is taking the picture and it will move. But there is an operator. Where is the machine which is working without operator? Can you give any example? Here is a machine which is working without operator. So how do you think that the nature machine is working without the supreme operator, God's instruction? How do you think it? This is not very reasonable. We have to judge. There are different evidences. One of the evidence is hypothesis. That hypothesis is that because we see that no machine works without operator, therefore we should conclude it, even though we do not know what is God, what is the nature, we must conclude it that the nature is working under some supreme operator, that is God. It is not necessary to see the operator, but we can guess that there must be operator. So human life is meant for finding out who is there to operate. That is human life. Otherwise it's cats and dogs life. They're eating, sleeping, mating and dancing, that's all. That is not human life. You must find out who is the operator. Athata Brahma Jigyasa. This is called in Sanskrit word. Now this human form of life is meant for inquiring about the supreme operator. Now that supreme operator, Krishna, is so kind. He is giving evidence in the Bhagavad Gita. Maya dhakshena prakriti syate sacharacharam. Now here I am. Under my direction, the prakriti, the nature, material nature is working. Thank you very much.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada!
But unfortunately, I am thinking this is American pains and pleasure. This is Indian pains. Pains and pleasure is the same.
Yes.
It is neither American nor African. Pains and pleasure is the same. So, as soon as this consciousness that I am feeling American pains, American pleasure, as soon as this is over, then we come to the original consciousness. Because consciousness cannot be American or African. If I pinch you, the pain felt by you is the same when I pinch the African.
Yes.
So therefore the consciousness is the same. Artificially we are thinking that American consciousness, African consciousness. Actually that is not the position. Simply this misunderstanding has to be cleared up. That is called Chetadarpana Marjana. Is it not a fact?
Oh yes, sure.
The consciousness of feeling pains and pleasure, can it be American or Indian?
No.
No, it is the same. Artificially we are thinking it is American pain or it is Indian pain. That is artificial. This artificial covering has to be removed. Then we come to Krishna consciousness. Feelings, consciousness is not American, African or Indian. Consciousness is the same. When you feel hungry, is that Americans feel a different way hungry? The African feels in a different way. The hungry appetite is the same. Now if you say this is American appetite and this is Indian appetite, that is artificial. So when you do not go to the artificial platform, that is Krishna consciousness. And that is explained in Narad Pancharatra. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparattena nirmanam. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktirishcha. When we become free from these artificial designations, American consciousness, Indian consciousness, African consciousness, there is no such thing. This is artificial. Even bird and beast, they also feel consciousness, pains and pleasure. Just like when there is scorching heat, you feel some pain. Is that American, Indian or African? Scorching heat is every feeling. If you say that I am feeling scorching heat American way, क्यों जी?
हाँ जी
ऐसा हो सकता है?
नहीं हो सकता
Simply these are artificial.
हाँ
And everything is depending on consciousness. Everything depending on consciousness. Therefore, Krishna consciousness is the original standard consciousness. The big airship 747 is flying because the pilot is there. And the pilot is a soul, powered by another bodily machine. That is missing point in the modern civilization. That is, who is working with the machine? That they do not know. That is ignorance. It is said in Sri Bhagavad Gita, Ishara sarvabhutanam riddeshe arjuna tisthati, Brahman sarvabhutani jantrarurani maya. Jantra means machine. Actually they are friendly. They are a big, nice machine, computer. Without an operator it does not work. And this huge machine is working without any spiritual touch. Just see how foolishness. They think automatically working. Nature is working automatically. Do they not think?
They think there's a mind, but not a soul.
No, that's all right. Something is there which is working. Now that may be mistake. You call it soul and mind, that is next understanding. But the machine is not working independently. That should be understood first. Then how the machine is working, that will be next chapter. So they have no understanding even how the machine is working. Mura nabhijanati mamebha paramabhyam. Maya dakshena prakriti suyate sacharaja. That they do not know, Muras. So if you do not know how the machine is working, then what is the value of your education? Education means enlightenment. You do not know what is the final cause. The huge body is working as nature. So many planets, so many big planets like sun, moon, they are floating in the air. And who has made this arrangement? There we see every day. And everyone is speculating. It is being done like this. Another philosopher comes, he does, it is like this. Another says, it is like this. Naso nijjasya matang na bhinnam. A philosopher is not a great philosopher if he does not defy the other philosopher. Is it not? So this process is going on. I defy you, you defy me, that's all. But what is the real fact? Neither you know, neither I know. But we write big articles. That is going on. Just like this finger is part and parcel of my body, whatever I am ordering, it is immediately carrying out. I say, make it like this, it will do. So, but this is dead matter. It is acting mechanically. The brain directs immediately the finger and attack, like machine. This whole body is just like machine. But soul is not machine, mechanical part. It is spiritual part. So therefore, as I am directing the finger, as being machine it is working. But if somebody else, a friend or servant, I may direct him to do something, he may not do it. So when the soul misuses the independence, then he falls down. That is material life. Material life means misusing the independence of soul. Just like a son's duty is to obey the father. But he may not obey. That is his madness. So when this soul, misusing the independence, becomes mad, he is sent in this material world.
It seems puzzling to me that one would be so foolish.
Because by independence you can become foolish. Otherwise there is no meaning of independence. Independence means you can do whatever you like. That is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, that Jathechasi tatha kuru. Find out this verse in the 18th chapter. That independence is there. After instructing the whole Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, Krishna gave him the independence. Now, whatever you like you can do. Krishna never forced him to accept the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. He gave him the independence. Now, whatever you like you can do. And he agreed. Yes, now my illusion is over, I shall act, as you say. The same independence. Yeah?
This is in the 18th chapter.
Thus I have explained to you the most, like the Sanskrit first.
Yeah.
Iti te jnanam akyatam guya guyataram maya virish yaitar asheshena yate chasit tata kuru. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. Deliberate on this fully and then do what you wish to do.
Yeah. Now, if you say why this whole should become so foolish, so that is misuse of independence. A intelligent father has got intelligent son, but sometimes he becomes a fool. So, what is the reason? That he is this part and parcel of the father. He should have become exactly like the father, but he does not become like the father. I have seen in Allahabad, the big lawyer, barrister, Mr. Banerjee, his eldest son was also a barrister, and his youngest son, on account of bad association, he became a kawala. A kawala means, in India, there is a carriage drawn by one horse. So, he likes to be an ekala. That means he fell in love with a low-class woman, and by her association, he became an ekala. There are many instances. Therefore, it is the duty of the human being how to control the mind, not act like cats and dogs. That is human being. He should be inquisitive. Why this happening? Why this happening? And he should take education. That is human life. And if he does not inquire, if he does not take education, then what is the difference between him and the dog? He remains a dog. He has got this opportunity of human life. He should take advantage of understanding what is what. Not to keep himself in the dog status, simply eating, sleeping, sex life and defending. That is the distinction between dog and human being. If he does not become inquisitive, how to control the mind? He is not even human being. And dog never inquires. Dog knows that when I bark, people become disturbed. He will never ask how to control this barking habit. Because he is dog. He cannot do that. A human being can do that. People hate me. I do something wrong. How to control my mind? That is human being. That is the difference between human being and dog. That's what Vedic injunction is. Go and inquire. You have got this human form of life. Athata Brahma Jigyasa. Now this is the time for inquiring about the soul. Tad vijnanartham sa gurumeva aviyachet. If you want to understand this science, then go to proper guru and take lessons from him. The same thing as we instruct our children, if you want to be educated in the higher status of life, go to school, go to college, take lessons. That is human society. The dog's father will never ask the dog, child, go to school. No, they are dogs.